What's going on, UNFAZED Frights crew? So tonight I have another ghost story for you. So this one goes back quite a ways to back when I was a teenager. Back at that point in time, I was open to the paranormal, but I wasn't, anywhere near as interested in it as I am now, But yeah, I was I was open to it. I was open to it, definitely, but I wasn't obsessed with it by any means. So at this point in time, I would have been about 15 years old, approximately. And yeah, I went up to this thing called Hawktown, which was a camp. We were the Apollo Hawks. That was the high school that I went to. And yeah, it was a winter camp that I went up to up in, I guess it was kind of, yeah, it was close to Prescott Valley, Arizona, northern Arizona. Skyway Camp was the name of the camp. And yeah, I went there, and it was fun. It was a good experience. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We stayed in cabins. It was the whole camp experience. It was very fun. And I remember there was this other section kind of down a hill of older cabins that weren't in use at that point in time when we went there. And at night, when you'd have to go to the bathroom, they had like a standalone bathroom. You had to walk past these old cabins, and everyone thought they were spooky, especially at night. It was just, the woods are scary as is, but walking by these old cabins when you're a kid or teenager, it's just extra spooky, So I remember they were having some bonfire event, singing with guitars and doing little skits and stuff, and just one of those fun camp things that they were having at night. And me, with the sensitive stomach, I had to go to the bathroom. And I was like, all right, well, get my flashlight. I'm going to walk, out to the baño, out to the bathroom cabin thing. So I walked by myself through the woods to this bathroom. And on my way back from the bathroom, I stopped by this cabin. And there was this cabin that, had like some lore around it of like, oh, that's the haunted cabin. And I don't know what the story was, I'm sure they said someone got killed in there or something, but I have no way to verify that. I don't even remember what the story was, but there was one particular cabin that everyone was like, oh, that's the spooky cabin. And I walked by it just out of curiosity. I've always been curious. And like I said, I was by myself, and I had my flashlight, and I walked up to it, and I was nervous. I was very nervous. And keep in mind, I was like 15 at this point in time. And I walked up to it, and I put my flashlight on the steps, and I said, hey, is anybody here? If anybody's here, let me know. And I was kind of doing like, stuff I'd seen in like early ghost hunters or early ghost adventures at that point in time, kind of, dipping my foot into it. And anybody here? My flashlight goes out, swear to God. It's on like, the first or second step, I don't remember. But the flashlight just goes out, and then there's a big thud on the door from inside the cabin. And keep in mind, the mattresses are up against the windows, lights are off, it's all dusty and closed off. Nobody's been in there for a long time. It scared the shit out of me. So, grabbed the flashlight, bolted back to the campfire, back to everybody, and obviously told my friends when I got there what had happened. And we went back later on that night, and nothing happened, obviously, but we checked it. We checked the doors. Everything was all locked up. We looked in one of the windows. Everything was all closed up, and the mattresses were flipped up. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what made the thud. Maybe it was a raccoon inside of the place. I don't know. But the timing was weird, because I was saying, hey, is anyone here? The flashlight turned off on its own, and then immediately there was a thud from inside the cabin. So it scared the crap out of me, especially as a teenager and not having experienced anything like that. I just saw another shooting star. I saw one on the last video. I saw one now, too. I gotta make wishes. I'm getting shooting stars galore. But, yeah. Yeah, it was crazy, definitely. Was it a ghost? I don't know. Was it scary? 110%. It was super scary. And the setting just makes it spooky, too. Being in the woods. It's cold out, it's like this creepy old cabin from who knows when it was built. But yeah, it was spooky. It was definitely spooky. But camp was a good experience. It was fun. It was a good time. I went to that twice in high school, 2 different years. It was my sophomore year, and I went back as a counselor and also the person doing the video, documenting it when I was a senior in high school. So that was cool. I didn't have any paranormal experiences when I went back. But yeah, it was scary. It was cool. Do you guys have any creepy camp stories? Let me know. Comment below. I would love to hear them, whether they were camp or camping or out in the wilderness, or if you live in a rural area. Let me know if you've ever seen anything spooky. Yeah, so I think it was a very cool experience and makes for a good story. This one isn't really a ghost story. It's not a paranormal encounter or anything like that, but I still think it's worth telling. I believe we mentioned this on a podcast on Unfazed Review, but I don't think we really got deep into it, and I think it's a story worth telling for sure. So a while back, I want to say maybe, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, approximately, Emmett and I were hanging out at the mall, at Fashion Square Mall in Scottsdale, Arizona, and we were walking around, and we got Cinnabon. We hadn't had Cinnabon in a long time, and yeah, we were like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's have Cinnabon. So we got Cinnabon. We're eating it. We're hanging out, and as we're eating, we're up on the second level, kind of close to the theater there. We look over and we see this guy that looks really out of place. Really out of place. He's dressed up in like very old-fashioned clothing. He looked like someone from like the 1920s, I would say, based on his attire. He had like the suit jacket and little round wire rim glasses, and dressed very dapper, just very nice, but like someone from the 1920s. And he was very small in stature. He was maybe 25 to 30, maybe. And he just looked very out of place. His hair was, slicked back and parted down the middle. And there was just something strange about him. And we were kind of watching him, and at first I thought, well, maybe he's just, kind of a hipster, just, dressed very unique. I didn't think much of it at first, but we kept looking at him, and he was looking very confused. He was looking very confused and kind of flustered. And he kept making his way around, looking down at the escalator and looking very worried and confused and kind of looking around, and he looked lost. And we saw this guy do like 2-3 loops around the escalators on the second level, and it just, yeah, he looked kind of panicked, sort of. And he kept lingering in the same area, and I thought, wow, this guy looks like a time traveler. And Emmett said the same thing, like, yeah, this guy looks like he stepped out of 1925 or something. Anyway, so we're speculating, as we do, we're like, wow, wouldn't that be crazy if he really was a time traveler? And then we started looking at him more, and we're like, man, that guy really, where would you even get clothes like that? We're looking at him, and I'm like, man, this guy just really looks strange. So I said, well, what if he is a time traveler? And Emmett was like, yeah, that would be crazy. I said, no, really, what if he's a time traveler? I said, you know what? I said, I'll be kicking myself if I don't go up and talk to him. But I don't want to come across as a weirdo either. So I said, well, I'll just ask him what time it is. I'll say, hey, my phone's dead. Do you have the time? And see if he pulls out a smartphone, or see if he, checks a modern watch or anything like that. So Emmett was like, oh, good idea. Let's go. And Emmett's always on board. He's always, down for that kind of stuff. He's very like-minded. So we were both curious. We want to go talk to this guy. So we walk over to him. Like I said, he's looking very lost, and he's like leaning against this railing near the escalators. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, excuse me, sir. I said, sorry to bother you. I said, do you know what time it is? And he looked at me. He's, time, sure. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a like a pocket watch, and opens it up and looks and says, and it's like a pocket watch on a chain, like an old-fashioned one. I said, whatever time it was. He's like, oh, it's 3:35 or whatever time it was. I said, oh, thank you very much. He said, no problem. I've got to go. And he put it back in his pocket and he hurried away from us. And we went back to our spot where we were eating, and we looked back and couldn't find him. We looked around, and it just like he vanished. And maybe he was just very quick. Maybe he just very quickly went into a store or something and we missed him. But we're talking like 10 seconds. We walk away and we look back and we can't find him. And it was weird. It was very weird. And the fact that he pulled out an old-fashioned pocket watch on a chain instead of a smartphone or a watch, unique. Definitely unique. Was he a time traveler? I don't know. Was he just kind of socially awkward hipster? Maybe. But I like to think that maybe there was a little time slip there. I I've always been very fascinated by time travel. Back to the Future and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure are a couple of my favorite movies. So, yeah, I like to keep an open mind and think that maybe we encountered a time traveler briefly. Probably not. He's probably just a strange guy who likes to dress up like that, but it's fun to pretend, and it's fun to imagine different possibilities. And the stopwatch, or the pocket watch, really kind of solidified that that idea that, wow, maybe he could be from another time, you know? But who knows? Could have just been an eccentric character. But anyway, have you guys ever encountered anyone like this? Do you have any time slip or time travel stories? Let me know down below. Let me know if you guys are enjoying these paranormal and haunted stories. This one wasn't really paranormal. It was, well, I guess it could be classified as paranormal. But yeah, it was strange. More of a sci-fi story, definitely. But yeah, let me know if you guys like these. I will definitely keep doing them. They're very easy to do, and I have a plethora of stories. So yeah, thank you guys. If you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. Remain unfazed, and keep it frightening. Thanks for watching. I gotta get back to the DeLorean. Hey, Doc! Hey, Scott!